Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the fourth episode of Dev Diaries. Today's episode, I'm just going to be going over everything that I've been working on these past few days. Mostly, they have had to deal with just giving life to old maps. So to start, we have a pretty simple one. A lot of people have complained to me that the nighttime lighting in Awot Unknown for the marsh biome was too harsh. So I'm going to go ahead and change it to be a more neutral colored without the harsh purple tint over it. You can see here just the process by which I go through and I select a random lighting and just see how it looks until I find a lighting that matches the effect I'm trying to achieve here, and then I go ahead and pick it. It's kind of funky since the lighting doesn't really indicate what kind of lighting it is. Not to mention the lighting's names don't always match up the code. Like if you put the thing that says on screen into the code, it probably won't work. You have to guesswork the name based on the patterns. It works most of the time, but there are a few lightings I haven't been able to find out what their names are like and have access to yet. Eventually I find this lighting and I think it looks pretty nice. So I think I'm gonna settle this for Marsh's nighttime lighting. And while we're on this map, I'm gonna go ahead and fix a bug that was reported to me. So in case you guys didn't know, I programmed Awot Unknown differently from how my other maps randomly choose their biome. So Awot Unknown's very inefficiently coded. As a result, it makes its size way larger because it's essentially flipping a coin several times to what the map would be. So in comparison, Cattlelands is my most simple map, with it being very basic in structure and having little details. Can you guys how many times larger than Cattlelands Awot Unknown is? I'll give you guys a moment to think it out. So already about the randomizing part where it changes biomes, I can already say it's probably 2 times larger. Like if you're only comparing the grass biome of Awot Unknown to Cattlelands. Um, and then you'll probably think, well, that's 2 times bigger, and there's 7 biomes. Maybe it's 14 times bigger. Um, that's what I thought too. But I checked the game's code and checked the file sizes, and to my complete disbelief, it is actually 28 times larger than Cattleland somehow. I'm not sure how that happened, but I can I'm not making this up. But yeah, with that in mind, Awat Unknown is really inefficiently coded because it's my first map that changes biomes. And I did try to do a more efficient way, but at the time it just didn't work. Surprisingly, now it does, and that's what I use now for my current maps. But at the time, I couldn't figure it out, so I did the most coding immature thing you could do and make the entire map based on a bunch of coin flips. Specifically, they're called if statements. So I just flipped the coin and said if the coin was heads or tails, you do this or that, and that's entirely how it's programmed, which makes it super large. And despite testing it several hundreds and somewhat even the thousands amounts of times before releasing it for the definitive update with its new 2.0 version, um, a bug managed to slip by, but thankfully someone caught on and found it for me. It's not too big of a bug. It's just that somewhere in the thousands of coin flips, AWA unknown flips to decide what's gonna look like that day, um, there's a chance that something will spawn in the middle. Not sure you guys noticed that, but AWA unknown often spawns things in the middle. And then if it does spawn something in the middle, it then flips a coin to decide if something should spawn alongside that thing in the middle to guard it. Usually it will flip no more often than yes. And even then, if it did flip this coin, 1 out of 16 times it flipped this coin would it then break. That means 15 out of 16 other times this coin flip was perfectly working just fine, ignoring the fact that you already needed like 30 other coin flips to get here. Specifically, I'm talking about the king riders that might spawn with the outpost. So like getting it to roll to spawn something in the center is already rare enough, but then you need to roll an outpost, which is even rarer, a very small chance. And then once it rolls an outpost, you need to actually roll and decide that it wants to spawn king riders to defend it, which is even rarer. And then 15 out of 16 times that spawn king riders to defend it, it would work perfectly fine. So a 1 out of 16 chance or something like that, out of another 1 out of something chance, out of another 1 something chance, the chance gets really low. So that's why, despite testing it over 1,000 times before releasing the update, I didn't find this bug that sometimes it spawns 9 King Riders to defend it instead of the intended 1. This was made by accident because I meant to type spawn 0 to 1, but instead I actually fat fingered 9 to 1 because um 0 is right next to 9 on the keyboard. But like I said, 15 out of 16 times it would actually spawn 0 to 1 as intended. It was just one instance of me fat fingering it. So thank you to the very unfortunate person who had their scout swarmed and killed by 9 of these guys. I apologize, but the bug has now been fixed. Besides that, I worked on a code that would make the pawns in Fair Eter spawn more fairly, similar to how it does in Mount Awot, but not exactly how it does. Alongside the pawn spawning away from the center, the outpost will also now spawn away from the center, making you more encouraged to go outward and have more likely of a chance of fair spawning, although sometimes it's still going to be stacked, unfortunately, because that's just how the nature of random map locations work. In January Fields, I fixed a rare bug that caused the Buddhist pine on the rare version of the map to be replaced by the normal olive trees to spawn the normal version of the map. Now you'll notice that there's normal Buddhist pine and no olive trees to be found whatsoever, as intended. While I was here, I was thinking about how the rivers look so nice in 1v1, but they don't really look like that in the other map sizes or player counts. So I went on a journey that I thought was going to be short just to make it consistent. This journey would take me several days, however. Of course, I'm just going to cut out most of the hardships and show you guys the main results. But yeah, it took frustratingly long, but I was able to work out a way that it would increase the river sizes in non 1v1 games. It just changed proportionately, so you make the map larger or giant, these river sizes are gonna diminish a little bit. But for the most part, if you're playing on standard, most player counts should now have the rivers still on the corners. I actually had to use 3 codes to make this work since the scaling just was not working properly. So I made one for 1v1s, ones for player counts less than 7, and then one that will activate on all player counts that are not in the above mentioned specifications. I'm definitely going to have to mess with it a little bit more because it's looking kind of funky in its current state, but here's a sneak peek as to what you can expect and what I mean by the water in the corners have expanded to reflect how it looks in 1v1. I'm going to be honest again and say this is Marsh's code that I'm messing with here, which is made by the developers, so I may not have the best understanding as to how it works. Speaking of things I don't understand how to work, I read the guide left by the developers and I tried to use the area build a wall function, which the name, as it implies, builds a wall around an area. For a while, I tried to use it and it just wouldn't work, and the only thing it said was just it doesn't exist. But now I read it again and I found out how to use it. As you can see by the gameplay footage, I've gone Ubanopolis to build a wall just to sell the city aesthetic and have a flank route in case you need it. You know, you could just break the wall real quick and flank all the way around without them being able to attack you. Unfortunately, the amount of work that required to pull this off basically required me to remake the map because the map previously was Ubanopolis itself, but now I have to remake it so that the map itself is grass and Ubanopolis is a fragment inside of it. And then I had to program everything to spawn inside Ubanopolis specifically, just like how I did with the volcano stuff around the spire, except this time I had to apply it to every instance of all the items in the game. It was a lot of work, but I think it was worth it to upgrade Ubanopolis a little bit, give it a new visual overhaul that looks significantly better than just the boring city look. I even went ahead and added pandas and flowers that only spawns on the outside, just for fun. When I added pandas here, I thought to myself, why not go back and add pandas to another map? So specifically on the rare version of Atrera Shore, which has bamboo on it, I let pandas spawn there. They will not spawn on the normal version, however, because the normal version is intended to be a Greek island and pandas are not very native to Greek islands. On Volcanic Disruption, I also wanted to give it some new life, so I made the center lava piece bigger, and I made sure the mountains would stay away from the lava piece. If you saw my rare variations video, you might have seen the volcanoes that spawn. They were eating away at the center lava piece, so now they should know to stay away from it and not take away from that. However, I forgot to tell anything else to stay away from it, so you get this terrible monstrous clip where all the stuff are kind of like clipping into it, and that's not very good. So once again, I had to go back and program in each instance of each item that I didn't want by the lava to stay away from the lava, and it worked out. And then, as promised, I made the king of the hill set on fire like it does in Into the Spire. It was very easy to port over since they used the exact same lava code. Coincidentally, I didn't even know they did until I had made both. It would have been easier if I just copy pasted it over, but oh well, it's already made. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the new burning King of the Hill in both those maps. So at this point, it had been like 3 or 4 days a full work. You know, I woke up each morning and used my break that I'm currently on to just work on nothing but that. So I was getting pretty burnt out, so I was going to go back to get some quick victory. So to start on Sunlight Strands, I made it so that when there's 12 players, it now only spawns one town center instead of two. Just that was experimental change I did a while ago. I forgot to revert. And then on Haven Exploration, I've decided to go ahead and add the farms to all player accounts. Previously it didn't spawn farms in 1v1, so now it does, in case you want that. Then I decided to redo Map Theocrat for the second time, because once I remade the code to make it cleaner, it was nothing but just our normal land map. So I'm deciding I'm going to add these craters to it. But as you can see, things were spawning inside these craters when it should have been, so I needed to code that out, which I did eventually. But now I'm thinking about, what if I went ahead and took it to another step and made these dead trees spawn, like, wrap around the crater? So hopefully that adds a new aspect to the map, both visually and gameplay wise, to make people more likely to play it. You know, I'm not expecting like everyone to flock to it, but maybe one or two people can enjoy the map now instead of a dead zero. The center temple now also has a little tiles underneath it just for visual fun. But I hope these new blue lava places sell the destroyed Atlantis look. But besides that, I wrapped up development on the second new map. I think I'm going to name it something Arena, because for the most part it was heavily inspired by Arena. And then I've started development on this third new map. Here's a sneak peek at it, although I'm not going to show all of it because I want to show all of it for Dev Diaries number 5 and tell you guys about the funny things that went to developing these maps. Since for the Arena map, I actually created a black hole that crashed my game, and then for this map, I just had a lot of technical issues, but it was pretty fun solving these issues. But yeah, well, I did put in a lot of work. It made me tired, and so this video, I may not sound as energetic because I'm a little tired out from doing all the changes. I think there were quite a bit of changes that were very minor and I didn't include in this video, but I will be sure to do it in the patch notes since I have written it down. I write down changes as I do it. Just like how I did a trailer for the definitive update, I am planning to do a trailer for the next update, including with the new maps. But at the same time, I'm planning to also make a patch notes video this time, where I will talk about and explain changes in great detail since there's quite a small character limit on the official patch notes page. Additionally, I'm going to be doing something weird this time, where instead of waiting for the update to release all the content, I'm going to release content with the tag beta as I go. So I don't have to make the trailer immediately, but you guys will still be able to experience the content in advance. So please don't be confused that you're playing on the map I show you now, and then you see that I say it's a new map in the trailer 2 months later. What you were playing on was a beta, and then the trailer will be for the official update, where I can confidently say the map has left beta. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I'm very tired. But I'm very excited to show you Dev Diaries number 5. It's a lot of fun stuff when making new maps. These are definitely some daring map ideas compared to what I previously did. It's definitely not going to be for everyone, but I hope it'll be a fun experience every now and then. It would be funny to force a competitive player to play this map because this map is very anti-competitive, so it'd be pretty funny to see the reactions. But I'll see if I can set that up for a video sometime. But that might be a struggle because I'm not really involved in the community too much, especially not the competitive scene, as I make very casual land maps for Comp Stomp. But yeah, enjoy the sneak peek, and I hope you all have a good night. Thank you for watching as usual, and I'll see you guys maybe before the new year, but I'll definitely get Dev Diaries number 5 by at least January 2nd. Just don't expect too much of me because, you know, video editing on top of making all this code is a little rough, and I'll try to be more energetic next time. Just, I want to apologize for the low energy this time around. I'm just really tired, but I had to make the video now or else I wouldn't get a chance for a few days. So enjoy the content, and I'm gonna start leaving about 30 seconds end screen now so I can have a end screen at each of my videos, which is the thing where you can click on the previous Dev Diary or my YouTube channel. There's, yeah, those buttons that you see on most YouTube channels. Alright, see ya.